Hi, Brad from bradsautoglass.com. Working on a 2015 up Ford F-150, replacing the center power sliding heated rear window. First thing you have to do is you got to get these seats out of our way, and you're going to reach under and release your seat. And then Ford has got a unique little system. Back here there's a button, and I'll show it to you after I get it opened up. So I got it to release, but it only comes this far, so now you have to pull this handle and it drops down. So zoom in over here. There's this little button right here on this, it's the little door latch. You got to lift that up and it releases it. So you just reach down behind here. Now another thing is you see the bar or the catch where it catches. There's purple paint on here, and you got to slide this bar back down so that purple paint lines up in order to close this back up. So you need to know that. Now this piece right here, because we've been playing with it, comes off fairly easy, but I just reached around and back popped it out. You take a knife and you can remove that, and we're going to want to remove this. So I'll get this taken off. I've already loosened this up. Alright, so I got the seat belt bracket off. It's heavily Loctited. You may want to Loctite it back in. There's a dart right here, and I'm going to remove that. I'm going to go to the other side and I'll remove the one over there. Now I'm setting my parts on my tonneau cover. This is actually my truck. This will allow us to remove this, and I don't think there's anything else on it. No, that's it. I have to go to the other side. Alright, so the seat on the passenger side, put it in the up position like this, and there's a little black loop here that's sewn into the seat, and that lets the seat come forward. You release it and drop it. And that gives me access back here to get the rest of these darts off. Alright, so I showed you how to get the back seats down, take the sound deadener out, and we got the window opening opened. And I've run the power window to the full closed position, and on the regulator there's a spring here, and you can see it's fully collapsed. And behind the motor there's a spring that is fully extended, so that's going to make it easier for us to get started. Just to close this window using the power so that we can collapse this spring. And the window's closed, the spring's collapsed. And I'm going to take, because we have to get the track that the glass sets in out and glue it together, I'm going to take this apart. Spring fully collapsed. I'm going to collapse this one with my hand. I'm going to stick the tool in here. And get this piece of plastic out. And that frees up that. Now I'm going to tap the motor and release the tension from that spring and get this to move this way a little bit so I can take it apart. Pause. So with my trusty sidekick on the camera, I had him back. I held onto this cable and pulled on it while he ran the motor until we got nice slack tension here. And what I'm going to do now is there's another one of those little chrome screws with that plastic piece. I'm going to take that out and we'll pull this all out. And this comes loose again. It's just that piece. And the track slides out, and the track is in an aluminum extrusion, which to get this back together we're going to have to lift that aluminum extrusion up and get it backed up about 2 inches. But let's do our prep work so that we can put this together. Alright, so we're going to attach this to my part, and this is the track. There was some broken glass in here, and we took a razor knife and just cleaned it out very carefully and got it back so it's nice and ready to accept the new glass. One of the things you have to pay attention to is these notches here go to the outside of the truck, so it'll be going on this way. and I'm going to hot glue it on. You can use hot glue or JB Weld Quick. That's the 5-minute. I happen to have a hot glue gun, so I'm going to hot glue it, which is how they did it originally. You don't have to put any on in the middle, just out here in these ends. And then I'm just going to take and slide this on the window. Make sure we get it all the way on. Check the back side. And then that's all in place. Alright. So with this piece glued onto the glass, it's ready to go. And then you'll notice I have this piece on here with a hole in it. And this is where the wires are going to connect, and I'll show you how to do that as we go through the video. But the wires are going to go and plug on here with connectors that I give you. And then we're going to come up, and there's a pull tie that goes through here that gets the wire started curling. It gets it behind the window and does the same thing that the original large black piece of plastic did here. Alright, so one of the nuances of this truck is there's an aluminum extruded rail in here that this plastic piece that we just attached to our new glass slides in, and we've got to get it to go in there. And because of the way this is made, you got to get a hold of it with a pair of pliers. And you can see me lift this up. I'm just going to lift it up a little bit and drag it back as far as it'll go, which is about 2 inches. Now I'm going to move to the other side of the truck and we'll install the glass. Alright, so we're ready to install the window. I've got the aluminum extruded track set back, and I've got the window with the plastic on it, and I've got this tool that I've made. And what it does is allows me to get into this track here and lift up, because we're going to need to be able to lift it up to get it into the extrusion. So I'm going to set this in here like this, and then we got to get this to go into that extruded track. Now, I don't even need that tool. It went right in. How about that? That went nice. We're going to push that down. And then you might have to rock it because the rubber is going the wrong way and it's flipping. And you got to tuck this behind the glass so it'll go past the rubbers. There. Yeah, that works nice. Okay, now we're ready to install our cables. Alright, so I've got the window in about 2 inches open. I've got this cable, this is what we undid last. And I'm going to stick this bicycle cable end in here. And then I can pull it closed. And I can put this piece back together. But first I've got to go drag that aluminum extrusion this way. So I'm going to come over here. Remember, I moved this extrusion, and I'm going to drag it down. You can hear it hit the other end, and it settles in place. And then I'm going to go back over and put that piece in. So I've got this block up in place, and I'm going to use the wire to kind of guide it into the aluminum extrusion. So after finagling with it, I got it into place. I'd making it more difficult than it was. I'm looking in here with the light, and I can see the hole lines up for the chrome screw. And we're going to stick that screw in. So the next thing we need to do is to close this window using the power so that we can collapse this spring. And the window's closed, the spring's collapsed. Alright, the next thing to do is put the other end of the cable in, and we've got our piece of plastic here. And piece in, I can see the holes lined up. Putting my chrome screw back in. And then I'm going to take my needle nose pliers. I screw in, I've got my cable, and my liner, the sheath is into the plastic, and this is ready to go. You should be about 3/4 of an inch from the hole. And with the needle nose, you get a hold of it, stretch it, and there it's in. And that spring underneath there is what allowed us to do that. That's what these springs do. They give you that working room. So now the window's installed. All we have to do is put the wiring on and put everything back together. Alright, so the last thing we need to do is hook up the defroster power. And I've taken the wire that went to the original window and I've cut it so that they're uneven by about a 1/2 inch, which is what we are on our window. And these black connectors come with the window, and they're just standard butt connectors. And you should put a little pressure behind on the bracket to hold it in place so you don't push it off. I don't think you could, but just be careful. So this all plugs together. It's all blacked out. Now this wire, you'll see, is a little bit long, and I'm going to make a little bit of a kink in it right there. And this pull tie, we provide a black one. I've only got a white one right now. Goes onto that wire. And this just helps guide it, so when it opens, the wire runs up. Now I'm pushing the wire behind the bracket. There. Alright, so I've got that on. It's laying back here up against the window, and that's exactly the way I want it. And then put this all back together, put your headrest back on. This will look great, it'll work great. So I got everything all together. I'll show you open and close. Go ahead and you can see it guides the wire behind the window just like it's supposed to. And close, and comes closed. Everything works nice and neat. Alright, just a quick review of what we did here. You're going to need a 13mm socket wrench for the seat belt. You're going to need my homemade tool to help guide the track together. Some sort of device for removing the darts for the sound deadener and back here. You need a 10mm Torx, and you're going to need a hook tool. And quick review of what we did is you have to clean all the broken glass out. You have to remember to take those 2 chrome screws out and those guides that pull the cables back and forth. And then you have to get that aluminum extruded rail up and slid over 2 inches so that you can slide everything together. So I've covered everything in the video. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me at bradsautoglass.com is all the information you need for contact. So thank you very much for the video. I'm Brad from bradsautoglass.com.